phenomenal amount of big boats in build. I mean, can you tell us a bit about that market for you guys, and maybe a little bit, if you can, about some of the big yachts you've got in build?
The first question you asked me, I'll follow up on that first, and then I'll go to that. So we've been in business 32 years. But last year, it was the best year we ever had.
Wow.
We've had some good years in the past 32 years. And I've seen lots of ups and downs in 32 years. I've seen stock market crashes. I've seen 9/11s. We've seen all types of stuff. And for me, this is just another event that we'll get over and get through. Moran Yacht Ship, we're financially strong. We've got a lot of good guys work at the company. We're not laying off anybody. I'm not cutting employment by one person. We're a small team. We've got 35 guys. We don't throw our money away. We don't go to boat shows and have 10 Rolls Royces and have these majestic, flashy boat shows. We're simple guys. We make our money and we keep it. And right now is the time to be liquid and have lots of cash. And we have got lots of cash. With regards to the new construction business, we've got 10 boats under construction. We signed 4 new construction projects last year. It's our goal to sign 2 more this year. The boats we're building right now are from 142 meters, the largest, 465 feet, down to 200 feet. The 142 meter is the largest yacht ever sold by a brokerage company.
Is that right?
Yes. There's been boats where brokerage companies have been involved with the construction, Azam, but the brokers didn't sell them. They managed to get involved in the construction somehow. We sold this boat. We've oversaw the complete construction, 5 years, and she's coming out and she's going to be magnificent. And that's 1 of 2 boats we'll deliver this year. Next year, we have 116 meter and 109 meter, a 62 meter and a 64 meter. The year after that, we've got 124 meter, 111 meter, and 2 60-plus meter boats. So our order books are firm. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've been concerned that some of these guys might have second thoughts. A lot of people are cutting back and pulling back. But fortunately, in the last month, in the height of this crisis, we've had 3 payments that needed to be paid on projects that we're building, 3 to shipyards, and each client made their payment.
So after each of those kind of, peaks and troughs, was there a disruption in this kind of, in the money flow, in build?
The biggest disruption I saw was after the 2008-9 Lehman crash.
Yeah.
Then we did see projects being delayed, payments not made. That was pretty tricky at the time. But we didn't have any complete cancellations. We had some people who couldn't continue with the projects, and we resold them to other clients. So, that was a benefit to us.
Yeah. So you don't expect, given what you've seen so far of this present crisis, you don't expect it to have slightly more long-term effects on the market that the previous one did. Do you expect us to bounce out of this a bit quicker?
I don't think bounce is the word. The big question I'm getting from the owners, that the questions they're saying to me, what's happening in the market? Are the price of new constructions going to fall? I'm getting that. And my answers to that is quite simple. I talk to, the guys at FedShip, I talk to the guys at Lurston, I talk to Hackford, I talk to the guys at Aberking, I talk to these guys. The one guarantee in yacht building is that 70% of a construction of a boat is the labor. And labor prices do not fall in Europe. They go up consistently every year between 1% and 3%. And that will continue.
So anyone thinking this is a great time to get a great deal on a new construction, it might not necessarily all pan out that way.
Well, the big mistake that some shipyards have made, and many shipyards have done it over the years, and they continue to do it, they'll sign a contract and they'll sign it on a price which is not realistic, what they cannot build it for. And they're always hoping that, well, they'll sign this one, then the next one, they'll sign it at a much higher price, which will be able to subsidize the previous bad price for the shipyard, bad price for the shipyard. And inevitably, it never works because the shipyard eventually fails. And we're going to see that. We're going to see that in the yachting business. There is going to be, in my mind, a lot of companies go broke. There's going to be some shipyards go broke. There's going to be a number of yacht brokerage companies go broke. There's going to be a lot of suppliers go broke. This is just natural progression. But you know what? Other companies will come in, take their place, and we'll move on.
So when you're talking to your owners, you counsel them. If they come to you and say, oh, but the shipyard's offered me this, 30 million less than this other shipyard, you say, well, hang on a second. We've got to really do our diligence here.
Again, with modesty, we've built a lot of yachts over the years. We've built 55 or 58 yachts over the years. We've got such a data bank of what prices, and there's this sort of people, overnight experts, who they're always looking for the common denominator. How do you price a boat? And recently everybody now has come up with this thing, you price it per GRT. They think that is the magic sword, and that's all rubbish, because it's how you measure it. So from my perspective, we've got a good idea what these boats cost. We know the profit margins that the shipyards like to make. They've got to make a profit, or they go broke. Everybody knows that. If you're running a business at a loss, you're gonna go broke. So there's got to be somewhat. I'm a great believer in the word fairness. There's got to be some compromise here. And what do I say to clients? If a guy calls me up and he says, I can get this boat for this, I say to them, no, you can't.
What about, is the same true on the brokerage side? I mean, are you wary of big discounts on boats? If a boat is really being pushed aggressively and huge amounts of money being taken off it, if an owner comes to you and says, do you think this is a good deal? Obviously, you look at the pedigree of the boat, the history, what it's done, et cetera, et cetera. Are you instinctively wary about those big price discounts on the brokerage side as well?
No, the brokerage is different, because the brokerage is the moment. The brokerage is the moment. And as we're seeing right now in the world today, there's going to be a lot of guys who are going to do really well, and they're going to make a lot of money. And there's going to be a lot of guys who are going to be wiped out. I was told many years ago, timing is everything. I'll tell you, it's quite a funny story. I was meeting a client who was going to buy, which was at the time a massive yacht, a 42-meter yacht, and he had a medical emergency. I went to see him in a hospital in New York, and this guy was a tough guy, and I'll never forget, he said to me, he says, listen, kid, timing's everything. He said, last week I'd have bought this boat. This week I'm buying nothing. Wow. And that's it. So to answer your question, the brokerage business, no, the brokerage business is different. If somebody's got to sell and they need the money, this is going to be a great opportunity right now for buyers, especially there's a lot of what we call new buyers who have been sitting on the fence for a few years. These guys are going to come in. There's going to be some opportunities.
Yeah.
Really, and they're going to get some good deals, no question. But they've got to have liquidity. They're not getting any money from the banks. The banks are closed.
So finance is tricky.
Finance is tricky.
So you've got to have the cash.
Cash is king.
Yeah. So you mentioned, 2019 was a stellar year for Moran Yacht Ship. You signed 4 new projects. You're looking to do 2 more this year. Brokerage, we've talked about a bit, so now could be a great buying opportunity for people as, liquidity becomes more urgent. People get rid of big assets like Superyacht, so there's buying opportunities. What about charter? Because the charter industry in the Med is basically non-existent as it stands right now, but people are really hoping for a bit of a summer. You have quite a big charter fleet, so how do you see the brokerage market at the moment? Sorry, the charter market.
The charter market. So over the past 2-3 weeks, I've been talking with owners constantly, and it's been the same question: what do I do with my boat this summer? where do I send my boat this summer? And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I started saying to these clients, look, there's only one place to send your boat. You send it to the Med.
Yeah.
We're going to know by the end of May at what stage this virus is at. And if it has retreated, as we hope, we think that this year, July, August, September, and October are going to be good charter months. And that's what, and I've encouraged the owners to send their boats. And between you and I, I've had to promise some of these owners that I am going to produce charters, and we will.
It's interesting you said, I mean, October traditionally, I mean, that's kind of very distant shoulder season in the Med generally, but it could be a much stronger October this year as people are just desperate to spend a bit of time on the water.
You know, I live on the water here in Florida. I live on the Intercoastal Waterway. There's been a lockdown, as you know, not to the extent in some places in Europe. In South Florida, you know, the restaurants are closed, the bars are closed, all the social places are closed. But the one thing that's open is the water. The beaches are closed, the water's open. So sitting out the back of my house, it's a boat parade every day. You see boats going by in size from 10 meters up to 50 meters. I've never seen so many boats in my life. There are thousands of people going out on their boats, and anybody who hasn't got a boat is going to buy one. Yeah. Because if you haven't had a boat right now, you've been stuck in your house in your back garden. And I think it's, you know, it's going to be tough, but I think it's going to be a positive.
Yeah, eventually. I mean, anecdotally, I've been speaking to a few yards as well, and they've been telling me that they've bizarrely, counterintuitively almost, in the last couple of weeks, they've had more inquiries than they ever would have in a similar period in a normal year, just because people have time, they're sitting at home, they're looking at what's out there.
I think there's going to be a lot of guys buying boats. Because I live on the water, and I'd say 50% of the houses in my area have boats behind their houses. 50%. I keep my own sport fish behind the house. I'm 5 minutes from the inlet. I can be out on the ocean, out there fishing. I'm going fishing at the weekend.
What's the boat?
I've got a cabo, sport fish.
Very nice.
Yeah. So from my perspective, anybody who's not got a boat is going to buy one, because they've been sitting stuck in their garden, looking at their neighbors going out on the boat. I think it's going to be good. Yeah,
well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. What about crew? Obviously, you manage a lot of boats, so you manage a lot of crew. So what has been your advice to them? Because some of these big charter boats are sitting around, can't do anything, so crew are just endlessly polishing stainless. So what's been your advice?
I was a yacht captain myself. You know, I came up through the ranks myself. So, you know, you go through good times and bad times. I remember years ago, I was working when I was a crew member, and the captain coming up to us, it was at the Monaco Boat Show, and he turned around to us, he says, after the Monaco Boat Show, he gave us 2 days off, and then he said to us, you're not having another day off until September the 15th. He goes, we're going to be working. Owners on the boat, we're going to be chartering, just so you understand. I don't want to hear no complaints. So, you know, I'm pro crew, but sometimes the crew have got to put up with some stuff as well. And the crew right now, message to the crew is, you've got a job, you're lucky. There's 22 million unemployed in the United States right now. You've got a job.
Yeah.
So you're lucky. You stay on the boat. There's no vacations right now. We don't want you guys going places and coming back to the boat. You know, so you stay on the boat, you'll get your vacations later.
It was interesting, you know, not many people have made the progression that you've made from captain to kind of brokerage business owner, new build manager, etc. So what do you think that being a captain has given you? What advantage has that given you in this business?
One of the big advantages it gave me, I understand the everyday events. When I talk to shipyards, or you're looking at things with designers, you can feel it. You can rethink what you went through in a similar experience, and it's just a great advantage.
How long were you a captain?
15 years.
Wow. Which boats did you work on?
I captained one of the boats I captained. I worked on the Big Eagles, which was for Bernie Little, the Anheuser-Busch yachts.
Yeah.
I worked with those guys for quite a number of years, great times. And then another guy I worked for was Herb Chambers, and we built a 130-foot Fed ship, which was the second largest yacht in the United States at the time. It was the yacht. Brand new Fed ship, big charter boat, chartered the hell out of it. We had a great time.
Was that his first Fed ship? That was his first big boat?
His first Fed ship, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we had great times, you know, it was good times. But obviously today, you know, we used to pull into places on that boat. There'd be hundreds of people standing on the dock watching. It was an event to see such a big yacht. Nowadays, you know, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's just progression. And that says something about how the business has changed.
That was what was that, 25 years ago? And now you've got that, they're almost tenders in comparison to...
That's 35. It's 35 years ago.
Yeah.
It was it. But, you know, it just shows you where the yachting business is, you know, where it's come from and where it is today.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about things on boats today which you'd never dream of, even 5 years ago. When we built Black Pearl, the things that went on into Black Pearl were revolutionary. And right now, they're standard. Yeah.
Well, the regeneration is now appearing on more and more yachts. So give us an insight into some of the amazing new technologies and innovations that are going to be appearing on some of the boats you're working on the next couple of years.
It's all about energy, and it's all about being efficient, saving fuel. I've had a client on one of our yachts. He's been on it for 6 weeks in the Pacific, and he calls me every other day and he says, "This boat's amazing, but how efficient it is, you know, and the saving of fuel and energy, and, you know, the work that goes into the glass, the work that goes into the reduction of using power and saving power, of recapturing power that would be just, say, from the air conditioning plants, from the generators, you know, the heat that they use when they're running, you're recapturing that and reapplying it into other features of the boat, which again, it's all about saving money and costs. And then the big thing right now, obviously, is the progression of electricity in boats. One of the boats we're building right now can run totally on battery power, and most of this battery power will be recaptured. It's pretty amazing stuff.
So no combustion on board at all? There must be some.
Yeah, you do have combustion,
yeah.
But for certain periods of time,
yeah.
You can run the boat solely on battery power.
Yeah.
That's a 124-meter boat. Think about that.
That will become the biggest. That will be the biggest silent running yacht in the world. Right? I can't think of anything bigger than that can only run on batteries for a period of time.
I don't know, but there's stuff going on all over the world right now, isn't there? You hear about different stuff. So this is the type of stuff that's going on right now, and it's every day you talk to people. I mean, when we were building Black Pearl, we were meeting with guys who were making sails, who were claiming then that the sails would be used as solar batteries,
yeah.
And the sails would recapture the power and then would take that power and store it into the battery banks and then use it to power the boat. And we met with scientists who assured us that these sails would be made and they'd be ready. Well, guess what? They're not built today, you know.
Yeah.
So what the scientists are predicting and what actually comes into place. But as far as battery power is concerned right now, it's pretty amazing, some of the events. For an example, one of the boats we delivered last year, the Mad Summer, we put in a peak load shaving system on that boat, which basically recaptures all of the unused energy. Everything that's unused stores it in the batteries, and then has caused, and one of the problems on yachts is that the inefficiency with generators is that you'll have a generator running and the second one will cut on, even if it's close to the maximum of the first generator. So you're always sometimes running 2 generators when you should be running 1 generator. You're running at 105% capacity, which means that you've got to use 200% of generators.
Yeah.
Well, right now with these systems we're putting on the boat, we're just storing all that excess fuel, and all the batteries, they just create a leveling system where you don't have these spikes. And now it's gone even further than that right now, where it's completely electric, where you can operate everything on the boat.
The motivation for that and the inspiration, does that come from, are you pushing owners to be more, more fuel efficient, or is it coming from the owner? Is the owner saying, I want this boat to be as green and environmentally and sound and as efficient as possible? A
lot of the owners know what they want. They don't know how to achieve it. They don't know how to achieve it. Some of the things they want are not achievable because it's not been invented yet. But everybody's got this theory right now. Everybody's got a goal of having a yacht which is efficient to run, maintain, and to keep the costs down.
It's just interesting because obviously the perception is that these massive yachts, the owners don't care about the footprint they leave behind, but actually the opposite is true. You know, these guys want their boats to be low impact, or at least as low impact as possible.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, most yacht owners, they'd be mortified. I mean, years ago, you were running boats and you'd have these generators, and the generators were noisy and dirty, and you'd look over the side of the boat and you'd see a trail of unburnt fuel in the water and spots of oil. Yeah. Owners will go nuts on stuff like that right now. I mean, they're so conscious. They want everything to be environmentally perfect. They want to go into anchorages and not leave a footprint of any sort. Yeah.
It's great. It's great that the industry is moving in that direction, and the innovation, the innovating that's constantly ongoing is fascinating. Like the regeneration, like you were talking about earlier, the fact that these big yachts can now cross oceans, big sailing yachts can cross oceans without using any fossil fuels is pretty amazing.
It is, and let me tell you something. The yachting industry is way ahead of the commercial cruise business. You never hear of yachts being fined for dumping fuel or polluting water because people are so conscious about it. And to their credit, a lot of owners really do their research. Some guys have a theory. I want my boat to do this. They don't know how to get there. Other guys have really done their homework and they're really up to speed on how you do it. It's how, and some of the things they ask for might be applicable to the automotive business, but on the scale of a huge yacht, they're not. But a lot of their ideas do come from automotive based businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And these guys are with the money and the will and the drive to get things over the line. So it's going to be really interesting to watch what comes out of the shipyards the next couple of years.
I mean, guess what? I'm sure that Musk will build a boat.
Yeah, I'm sure. I hope so.
I'm sure he'll build a boat. I hope he builds it with Moran Yacht Ship. Just make sure he gets that. But if he does, I'm sure it's going to be revolutionary.
Yeah, it has to be. To fit brand Musk, it's got to be a pretty wild and future-thinking boat. Yeah. Rob, that's been fascinating. Thanks very much for sitting down with us.
No, great stuff. Good to talk to you. Keep well with your family.
Will do. You too. And hopefully see you soon.
Great stuff. All the best.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.